Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 2 and we are all going to concentrate on Metamorphosis Part 2. So the first one we have is main idea. So we have this part 2 that was about Virgo Samson who is still in pain and has difficulty adapting to his strange body and family problems, but his father is always rude to him, his mother is always helpless with his asthma, and his younger brother who still needs education and his own needs. So the setting, so the next setting is going to be Meyla than Nicholas. So
next, the setting. The metamorphosis takes place almost entirely within the various rooms of one single apartment. When the narrative takes place, it left ambiguous. However, as Kafka wrote the story around 1912 and published it in 1915, it is not unreasonable to imagine that the story's action occurs around this period of time. The background of this part plays that happening all the time in one day, morning, afternoon, and night. This story had used a setting that corresponds to the time of occurrence of each character here.
For the next sentence is where this story takes place in the rundown apartment by the Gregor family, which is where Gregors and the other are relatively small. They live in Carlton Estates, which was a quiet street despite being in the middle of the city.
So the next, what is the problem for the story is Tsasa and Elvira.
So, what is the problem in the story of part 2? As the story progresses, Gregor grows more accustomed to his new body and in many ways seems more at peace with his wife as an insect than as a traveling salesman. He reflects on how quickly his injured leg heals, compared with a knife cut a month earlier on his human finger, which hurt for days. Likewise, he eats the rotten scraps left by his sister with his eyes watering with pleasure, which differ greatly from his experience eating bad and irregular food as a salesman. These instances suggest that Gregor's metamorphosis from human to a bug is nearly complete.
And then Gregor sees his sister as being very considerate, but the narrator hints that she is revolted by her brother's appearance. She leaves his untouched notebook with a cloth, not with her hands, then out of consideration of Gregor's feelings, as he knew that he would not eat in front of her. She hurried out again and even turned the key in the lock so that Gregor would know he could make things as comfortable for himself as he liked. Unlike Gregor, the reader realized that Gregor cannot wait to get out of the room and wants to keep Gregor imprisoned in it.
So the next, what happened in the story part 2 is going to be explained by Gail and Annisa. So.
Okay, let's move on. What happened in the story of part 2? I will discuss it with the part 1. After a long deep sleep, Gregor awakens later that day to find one of his legs injured by his father, drags along lifelessly. He realizes he is incredibly hungry and spots a bowl of his favorite dish, sweetened milk, likely left by his sister. He starts lapping it up, but finds he no longer likes the taste. To avoid worrying about his family and how they will get by without his income, Gregor calls around his home and experiments using his antennae and legs.
When Gritty returns, she picks up the scraps and dishes and exits, and so begins a routine in which Grit feeds her brother once in the morning, while her parents and Anna their servant, are still sleeping, and another time in the afternoon when they are taking naps or out running errands.
So the next characters are going to be explained by Tia and Zhafran. So
Oke, next kita bakal bahas tentang karakter. So the first character is Gregor Samsa. Gregor Samsa is a traveling salesman and the protagonist of the story. Gregor hates his job but keeps it because of the obligations he feels to pay off his father's debt and care for his family. He has transformed into a large bug and spends the rest of his life in that state. Although hideous and unrecognizable to others, Gregor retains his some of his inner life and struggles to reconcile his lingering humanity with his physical condition. And then the second character is Gregor's father. So, Gregor's father is the failure of his business and has left him exhausted and emotionally broken. And he is forced to return to work again after Gregor's metamorphosis. Despite the beneficial effect of his employment has on him, he expressed considerable hostility towards Gregor. And then the third character is Gregor's mother. Gregor's mother is frail and distressed. The mother is torn between her love for Gregor and her horror at Gregor's new state. Great and Gregor's father seek to protect her from the full reality of her son's transformation.
Chief Clerk. The Chief Clerk is the chief mouthpiece. He himself arrived at Gregor's house when the former is late to work and to throw the entire family into disorder. When Gregor does not unlock his role, the Chief Clerk tells Gregor in front of the family that he is under suspicion of having stolen money and that his work is very unsatisfactory. Though this is not true. Greta Samsa, Gregor's sister. Greta is a young woman on the cusp of adulthood. She initially showed great concern for Gregor, but her compassion gave way the possessive and resentment as the effect of Gregor's transformation on her life slowly take their toll.
and lastly we have what did we learn from the story is going to explain by Nadia and Salman.
Okay. What did we learn from the story? Don't live for others, don't be a martyr or victim, and reframe your perfection of yourself because no one else is going to do that for you. Finally, if you identify your self-worth with external things like what you have to do for a living, your public image, or how much money you have or not have, and care more about those things, there are bound to be a day when you wake up and feel a lot like Gregor.
Sometimes change can come at any time within us and around us. Changes that are fun, scary, or sad that make everyone stay away and leave us. Someone who always relies on our goodness will forget us if we make a mistake from our own change.
Jadi summary-nya, keluarga Gregor tidak peduli dan bisnis saya mulai membaik. Jadi itu saja. Terima kasih.
Teori aja.